Welcome to the regular meeting of Helotes City Council. It's July 11th, 2024. The time is 7 p.m. At this point, if you'll please join me in rising for the invocation brought to us today by Councilmember Sabrina McGowan.
Father, Son. Dear wise and loving Father, thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings, and thank you for life itself. Give the mayor and council members wisdom and guidance as they deliberate on the items before them. May every decision be righteous in your sight for our benefit and for your glory. May we always be guided by the spirit of community, by the spirit of justice, and by the spirit of love. This we pray in the name of all that we hold sacred and holy, all that we hold good and right and true. It is in your most blessed name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Well, we on? All right. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate all that have coming out and doing their due diligence to be informed citizens. Appreciate your interest. At this point, it is my great pleasure to introduce our distinguished police chief, Rob Hunley, as he delivers our Law Enforcement Officer of the Year award, this year awarded to Dwayne McGuire for demonstrating exemplary service in the line of duty. Chief?
I don't know if everybody knows, but I'm not a real big fan of picking one officer over another and saying this one's better. But it's my honor tonight to give Dwayne this award. He attacks every case he gets with maximum effort. He wants to solve every case that he gets. And if something happens where he can't, he's pretty upset about it. But we'd like to recognize him tonight as our Officer of the Year, chosen by all the supervisors.
As well as.
How's their meeting?
And, okay, presented to Detective in recognition of his dedication, guidance, and support, formulating, articulating, and following through on many innovative ideas and making sure they were brought to life, helping to enhance operational efficiency and functionality to the department, and continued unwavering adherence to ethical standards, fostering an environment built on trust and professionalism. Thank you from the Helotes Police Department. Now we have to do this. Dwayne's kind of a quiet guy. He don't talk much, so we.
No.
Hold on. We're gonna get a picture. One more picture.
One, two, three. Thank you. Can I post this on social?
Sure.
Excellent. All right. Does look like we have a few people joining us online. Just a reminder to anybody that's watching online, please mute your microphones because noise does come through our speakers here at City Hall. At this point, we are going to open our public hearing to give all interested persons the right to appear and be heard on the proposed petition voluntary annexation by LNF 1 LLC for 2 parcels of land totaling approximately 10.016 acres in the future Brycewood subdivision unit 6A, and described as items A and B listed in the agenda, specifically tax ID number 236310 and tax ID number 236313. These citizens be heard, these,
They're for the public hearing.
for the public hearing. Okay, so we have two people signed up for the public hearing. At first, we'll have Teresa Fight.
Mr. Mayor, if you can just say the time that you're opening.
Excuse me, you're right. We are opening the public hearing at 7:05 PM. Thank you. And Ms. Teresa Fight, please state your name and address for the record and share with us your thoughts.
Yes, sir. My name is Teresa Fight. I live at 10925 Paloma Drive. I am the property right adjacent to the annexation property that we're talking about. I know I only have 3 minutes, so I have several questions that I'd like to just ask them all at one time if I could, so that I get through them all. Looking at the plot, I know that it is slated that there will be an emergency gate right there at the end of Paloma Drive where it ends into the property. I wanted to know if that emergency gate, it's who it's going to be accessed by, how it is going to be coded, locked, whatever. I also wanted to know, is the main entrance and exit out of that new development still going to be on Gulm Road via the road that already comes down Brycewood? I wanted to know who will control that access and things, because I know we already have issues with people coming through the neighborhood and different things happening. I want to know if there are any types of right-of-ways or easements that have been granted or proposed that may affect my property, since I'm right next door. Is Paloma Drive going to be widened, made an actual road? What type of flood mitigation program is going to happen for water diversion? In the Beverly Hills subdivision, we have no curbs, no drainage ditches, no streetlights. And so the plot shows that land, the water is going to be drained out the Paloma Drive way, and I'd like to know where it's going besides down my driveway. And then the last thing I have is, during the development, is code enforcement, Helotes City Code of Enforcement, going to monitor the properties and stuff? Because I will tell you that the property next to it, the 6A that's already been annexed, has become the dumping zone. There are 4 huge piles of all kinds of housing things. The weeds are 4 foot tall. The sign was knocked down last week. Every afternoon, as I'm walking my dog down the driveway, there are people just pulling up and just throwing things out, huge piles. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And to clarify, Frank, we have to treat this hearing much like we do citizens to be heard with no comment, or we can.
You are able to respond to the public
Okay.
hearing, so you are able to respond to questions.
So let me address directly. I believe I got all your questions here, except for the last one. Emergency gate will have controlled access through Knox box key, which would be fire department key that only fire departments have. And that was a design and an agreement and design proposed. There are certain laws regulating what we can and cannot demand, and that falls under what we can't demand. But through the whole development process, they volunteered to have access an emergency, which I think is appropriate. Nobody wants anybody to suffer in the case of mass fire, tornado, what have you. The main entrance still resides in the same main entrance that is servicing the rest of Brycewood. That being said, there is an additional road that we are connecting. I believe it's Bent Canyon, that is actually not part of this development. It is actually part of a Bear County development, Sage, I always say that wrong, Sagebrook, part of their phase 3, and that is on the developer's cost. We're trying to find a quicker method of connecting that road, but that really falls completely under Bear County. But once that goes in, that will help alleviate a lot of traffic, particularly from Davis Ranch and Brycewood out there, as opposed to through Beverly Hills. right of ways, and there's no additional right of ways outside of the property that they already own, and requirements that they have to provide utilities. So there are some right of ways within that property, such as right of ways to the city for street access, and of course utility right of ways that are intrinsic upon just about every development, but nothing that encroaches upon your property. Well, dang, I can't read my own writing. Widening of your road. There's no plan as part of this as widening your road because there's no additional traffic being utilized as part of that development. As far as the water plan, all developments, whether it's Brycewood, whether it's on Bandera Road, whether it's in a community, are required to fulfill water runoff as far as code, and that is a fairly extensive process. So any development they do cannot create more water runoff than what is already naturally occurring. But that's part of the development plan, and through the engineering drawings, the city engineer has goes through that extensive process to make sure all the calculations are correct. Code enforcement, I think tied to the development weeds grow, but as they develop it, they'll all be houses there, et cetera. But as far as the garbage being thrown, illegal dumping this is not happening as a result of the contractors, happening because of bad actors in the greater community, whoever it is that's pulling up. They should be fined and ticketed. Of course, that's a little bit kind of like speeding. I'm sure everybody speeds. I'm not sure everybody gets caught for speeding. And that's a function of, do they get caught? If they get caught, they certainly will be ticketed and fined as far as that goes. I believe that is all your questions. Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody have any other things they wanted to comment on? No?
You have one more citizen, I think, right?
Yes, I'm going to go to the next one. Next up, we have Ardith Garner. And again, please state name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Artie Garner, and I live at 11588 Sunset Boulevard, and that's also in Beverly Hills. And I also back up to the property that we're talking about in items 12 and 13. We own 1.5 acres. It's 2 adjoining lots right there at Sunset at Paloma, the last 2 lots. And we've lived there for 23 years. So our property backs up to that property, and the owner, who is the developer, currently listed as the owner developer, plans to build the 71 small lot homes there on the 10 acres. And if my calculations are right, 7 of those homes will back up to my 1.5 acres, and we're just talking about one side of it. I'm not sure how wide mine. I think mine are deeper than wide, so it's pretty dense. I'm certainly not excited about losing the privacy and the country feel that we've enjoyed for many years. However, I do support annexation, and the reason being that there will be 71 homes or more, possibly, with or without annexation, and I'd rather it was annexed. And that will ensure that these homes are constructed and protected under the watchful eye of Helotes, rather than having no oversight, or certainly not much, under Bear County jurisdiction. So even though it's a mixed bag, I think that's the way to go. It's in our best interest. And lastly, I wanted to voice support for the amendments in items 14 and 15. I'm familiar with the past agreements and some of the history there. And I was certainly pleased and impressed to find the proposed amendments being thorough and thoughtfully written is the best way I can say it. It was quite well written. Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I've done a few contracts and worked with them in the past here at the city. And so I think that it serves the best interests of the city and our taxpayers. So thank you very much.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. And to the well-written grammatical aspect of it, I will hand to our esteemed attorney. To the thoughtfulness put into it, I will recognize the developer, Fred, and myself that work together closely looking at what a 380 agreement should be. And that should be something that is beneficial to both parties, where the net sum is a win-win-win, not only for the developer, but also for the city and of course for the citizens. And I can say that it's been a pleasure working with the developer as far as any negotiation is give and take and works in there. And I think when all is said and done, if you have a situation that everybody walks away feeling we've got a good positive relationship, I think that's a best case scenario. So I think this agreement is a step forward for the city compared to previous agreements, if you will. And thank you for your comments and thank you for your support. Yes,
One more question?
sure. Yeah.
Do we know if there's going to be any walls built? I mean, a lot of developments have a wall between one older development and the new one.
That is a good question. What we have here is on the development, and we have the platting the development, not the final building documents. So really, this is the annexation of the property. That'll be handled later on in the development phase of it.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So I took a field trip out there and I know what Ms. Fike's talking about with all these, there are more than just one pile of,
There's 4 of them. I just took pictures of them today. In
yes.
case anybody wanted to see them.
No, well,
Yes.
I also took pictures. But what I would like is if you see somebody actively doing it, you can certainly call
I would
them.
take a picture of their thing, but I can't see them for the weeds that are 4 feet tall.
Hold your phone up high.
I'm not that tall, so. Don't make them calls. I did yell at them.
Okay,
Told them to go, and they're
but
not-
so my question is for the mayor and the city is, can we get the developer to clean those up or how does that happen?
So just like any refuse thrown around, right now, citywide, the most effective and most consistent garbage refuse pickup on the side of the road is our very own Councilmember Craig Sanders, who spends nearly every Saturday walking with his headphones on and picking up garbage, and I really appreciate that.
Equipped to do.
But to this point, I don't think that is going to fall under his Saturday preview
For this.
So Jen showed me some of the photos that you were talking about. She was out there and taking pictures, and so I'm amazed at how much.
Yeah, there, I think,
It's a daily thing. Daily,
Wow.
every day I hear people throwing stuff. I'm
And
like,
it's significant. I mean,
It's-
these are huge piles.
these are huge piles.
So we got our police chief here. These are areas of emphasis. We have about 21 areas of emphasis, and at any given time, depending on the shift, roughly 6 patrol officers rolling around or so, sometimes 7. But which once again, it's kind of like speeding. Whenever a policeman's around, everybody drives the speed limit, and when they're not, everybody's speeding. And that's not an excuse, but we just maybe add that to our area of emphasis to patrol back in that corner. Public Works we'll be getting with to see if we can't get a cleanup crew out there, because that is yes, ma'am.
You can also call into dispatch center.
Call 911 when it's happening. We can send a police officer. I'm sorry, which is, go ahead.
695-2500 option 1.
Six-
And we can actually dispatch an officer out there while it is happening.
Okay, 695-2500, option 1. And we'll get a police officer dispatched out there. All right.
Thank you,
Any
Jamie.
response? In that case, we will close the public hearing. The time of closing public hearing is 7:18 PM. All right, at this point, we have citizens to be heard. We have nobody signed up, nobody online for citizens to be heard.
No, for another item.
All right. At this point, we're looking for a motion and a second to approve consent agenda item number 5 is written.
Mayor, I move we approve consent agenda item number 5 is written.
Motion by Sanders, second by.
second,
All right. No discussion needed. All in favor of approving consent agenda item number 5 is written, say aye.
aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Now we have the mayor's report. First up, we have text dot improvements. Again, traffic is moving significantly better than it was, say, 2 months ago. we are having more of the turnarounds and again, it's been a while since we had an update. My next meeting is with them tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So I don't have a lot to report other than everything should be done by the end of the month with punch list items in August. But I have made 23 out of 25 trips from one end of the city to the other without stopping at all. So that count is getting better. When I do get stopped, it's not for long, in the realm of about 20 seconds. So hopefully this turns out better than expected. Just wrapping up Independence Day celebration. Justin, do you happen to have the number of people who went through the gate offhand?
I don't, but the rough estimates are, it is more than last year.
Last year, we were 10,000 plus by the time you figure out. Also found the entire community of Helotes Crossing had gathered on the street because the fireworks were pretty much right over top of their head. Plus all the people on Bandera Road, Fink Cigar parking lot, CVS parking lot, O'Connor and Kuntz. Fantastic
Community celebration.
display. Vanessa's not here, but she did a great job coordinating that, and give a shout out to her, to all our public works staff, our police officers that helped make that smooth, and of course, our partners in that, Helotes Festival Association. So happy
Bigger every
Independence
year.
Day, everyone.
Bigger every year.
All right, on to our individual items for consideration. Looking for a motion and second to discuss and take action on item number 7 is written.
Mr. Mayor, I move we discuss and take action on agenda item number 7.
Motion by Sanders, second by,
Second.
okay, McGowan. And of course, this is little more than a formality. The 911 district proposal is really what is prepared by their district. We're pretty much just informed, but if there's any items that we need to raise flags.
It's not a raised flag, it's just a question. I think I know what the answer is, but in attachment C, it stated, it mentions Helotes.
Mhm.
So processed and completed multiple annexations, including sizable acreage into the cities of Bulverde and Helotes, and then updated blah, 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 911 maps. So was that some of the funding that we got from Bear County, or?
I believe what they were referring to there is, if you remember, they took on, it's kind of talking about what has happened, correct?
Right, it's passed.
And so you have some development areas that have been added. Guadalupe Ranch, and I'm not sure if that is specific to that or if that is also part of when Great Forest had entered into their service, but so we have, that acreage, which is actually under the same zip code as we are, which once again,
Confused.
but into the Helotes area. But no, we are definitively still in control of our own dispatch.
It was just, it caught my attention. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman,
No questions.
any other comments? No? All in favor of approving item number 7 is written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion and second to discuss and take action on item number 8 as written.
So moved.
Merchant, second by
I'll second it.
Sanders. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, I really, having talked to Mr. Dempsey several times and having been out to the site several times and having gone through his plan multiple times, this will no doubt expand business for for Helotes, I think, just in general. He's got in his plan that this will create 3 jobs, which I think is probably good. I mean, 3 at a minimum, and I'm sure probably potential for more. So this is a good project and fully worthy of the EDC's grant here. So fully support this.
Councilmember.
I just want to say thanks, Ken. You've done so many amazing things for Old Town and for this community, and this is just going to be another hit. Not Councilman Sanders, Craig Sanders, who lives in Helotes, is a resident who enjoys the things that you do for this community. I just want to say thank you. So, and EDC, thank you for supporting the local businesses.
Jen.
Ken gave me a tour the other day of what they have, and I had never been back there, and it exceeded my expectations. You really can't visualize it conceptually until you actually see it. And I also posted it on a local social media site and it went viral. People are so excited about it. So that's all I have.
I think it'll be a great development, certainly. Forward.
I think this is a fantastic project. I am very excited about it. I think it's gonna bring a lot of people into Helotes, and my family and I are looking forward to spending a lot of time down there. The one question I had was about the original amount that was requested was much higher than the amount that the board settled on. And I was at that meeting. There was a lot of debate and discussion, a little bit of back and forth on what is the right amount to arrive at. And I noticed with other incentive programs, there's kind of a scoring matrix to arrive at that dollar amount. And so I would just, encourage you for future applicants to have that information as part of what gets submitted so that we can kind of understand how you arrived at that dollar amount.
Oh, sounds good. I'm looking forward to the council member pickleball tournament. Saturday. Which not only will be interesting, probably ought to be entertaining for anybody watching. With no further discussion, all in favor of approving item number 8 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Only nay to the pickleball tournament. Sorry.
All right, looking for a motion in a second to discuss and take action on item number 9.
So move, sir.
Motion by Merchant, second by
I'll second that.
Anders. Go ahead, sir.
I think this is a really good location for this. Right now, what is there is an abandoned car wash that, by the way, HPD, the backside of that car wash has an open window and it is possibly have vagrants in it. And the door looks like it's been ajar, maybe send somebody to take a peek in there. I don't know, but as it sits right now, this is a good spot for this business.
Sure.
So I watched P and Z, and so they were 100% behind this, replacing kind of an eyesore with a fully operational business is always a good thing for the city. They've got their lighting diagrams. They did everything that we needed in order to make an informed decision. So I don't have anything to add.
All right. No further discussion. All in favor of approving item number 9 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. At this point, we're looking for a motion and a second to discuss and take action on item number 10 as written. You're on a roll, sir.
So moved.
All right. Motion by Merchant, second by
TikTok.
Cato. All right. Sir?
I'll second.
Oh, already second by
Cato.
Oh.
It was quiet, but he did it.
Okay.
Quiet second.
David.
Okay, so I watched the P&Z video on this several times, went out to the site a few times. I'm looking at this concept, and conceptually, the concept package doesn't quite match what is being asked for in this. So in that P&Z kind of struggled with this a little bit. Specifically and I want to just point out specifically that I got clarification today from staff on this. So when I say this, I'm just gonna kind of whirl through how I figured all this stuff out. Las Palapas is asking to put a restaurant with a entrance exit onto Scenic Loop Road.
Can I speak, sir? Sorry, I've been needing to sign up.
Oh, hold on, I'll just say what I gotta say, and then you can make your,
Yes, sir.
then you can answer our questions.
Sure,
So I'll probably have some questions, you can jot down and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
so I think and it's conceptual, I understand that. The concept though, I've never been to a Las Palapas that it wasn't a drive-through. The concept is on here. What I wasn't aware of until I was made aware of by staff today, that you do intend to put a drive-through in here, and that is for a public hearing in August.
August 6th and then.
August 6th, and then again later. So right now, we're just kind of looking at the idea and the concept of what you got here. So, and then that I get, and now it all makes sense to me, because when I first looked at this, I was like, really? A coffee shop, a drive-through, big parking lot with, and it's like,
That's why I wanted to come and visit with you.
I don't, yeah, appreciate you. So, and I kind of understand now that I've connected all the dots and I've spoken to everybody except for you. And so,
I didn't know I was supposed to sign up.
no. This is kind of like, much like P and Z. You can come up, introduce yourself and answer any questions.
So let's time out. Yeah,
Back and forth
Yeah.
until the mayor actually calls him.
yeah. So
Get through your comments.
looking for comments here, and then if there's a specific question, we'll call them up to answer.
Right. So, initially when I looked at this, I was like, they're asking for drive-through signs, but there's no request for a drive-through. That seems like putting the cart before the horse. And P and Z also struggled with this, but never really kind of came right out and said it. And then I find out that there is actually going to be a request for a drive-through. So that was my only concern. And I understand this is conceptual. And your building, and I actually went to the one that you guys referenced and looked at that one too. So it looks like a Las Palapas, only like, slightly different. Those are my questions and comments, really. That's about it.
Under the spirit of the conceptual design, I think this is a great plan. I like it.
Councilman Gowan, are you going to address Alex Blue's comments? Did you get a hold of him this week?
I did.
Okay, I'll let you,
Okay.
as you talked to him.
So, sir, I actually have a direct question for you. So as I was looking at the bird's eye view, right, of the site plan, is it the intention to actually, so the stubbed out road that's on kind of the right side, the back right side of the QT parking lot, is that supposed to be an entranceway or not?
No.
And then let me invite you up to the podium. Go ahead and state your name and your position so I can know where we're.
My name is Boots Field. I own Field Construction. We build all the Los Palapas all over the state of Texas. We built a lot with the Los Palapas family. Real excited about getting an opportunity to work with you guys. Y'all have been nothing but great since we've walked through y'all's doors. Los Palapas is a great organization. They're a good community. To your question, sir, this is very, very conceptual right now. I know the old scenic loop road is not in real good shape back there. As far as the additional parking that's back there, we're not even addressing that right now because that's just something we're trying to work out with the city and stuff because we don't really need it as something more for, I know we're right by old Helotes and all that stuff, but that's just kind of down the road. The buildings themselves and the access to it, right now, the only access is off of QT's already driveways. We're not adding driveways onto scenic loop. That's why I started jumping up and down going, no. We're not putting any more on that. As far as old scenic, that's out there in the future. We don't know.
That was my question,
Right.
because that's a huge impact to the city.
Sure.
Because that road is like an alleyway that
Right.
hasn't really been used in years.
Right.
And
That's why it's conceptual.
When I looked at your drawing, I'm like, ooh, is that another egress access point?
It was drawn on there. So it's basically a discussion point that we can have as we move forward, as we move the plans forward. We want to be an asset to your city. We want to win-win. We want everything to work for us. And if it is a negative impact, it's not going to be there. It's not necessary for the project at all. And we're working with y'all city developers and your development team. As I said, again, y'all have been nothing but helpful. And we just want to do what's best for Helotes. We want to be an asset here.
But make sure I understand. So conceptually, it is not your intention right away to open up a second, because I actually think that's a brilliant idea if you were able to do that.
If we're able to, right now, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Because that would actually alleviate the problems we're gonna have with the traffic on scenic loop. It's already kind of been recognized. So I know during the P and Z meeting, the person that was representing
Alvin Peters,
this effort wasn't sure about traffic impact analysis, and I think he stated he thought QT was might have had one. I don't recall seeing it for the QT development, but there is one that was just provided that council just saw back in May from the Bandera Ranch development that's going to be across the street, the big development where it's going to have commercial property along Bandera, and then you have residential rental homes in the back. And so you guys probably need to have access to that. I mean, it's a public record to see that, because they're basically saying at peak hours, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't have it in front of me, that there will be, the timing will not be what TxDOT or the city of Helotes would like, right? So there's going to be some more wait times at that intersection. And of course, that intersection won't look exactly like the way it looks today. So traffic is an issue. And so only having one entrance in and out, I think is going to be problematic. And then there'll be a turn lane almost right across from that QT. When they start to develop the commercial side, it's going to be maybe 20 feet above that going in. So those are going to be traffic issues that you guys are going to have to address later.
Yes, sir. Actually, we have a TIA in progress right now. We have received QTs. We are reaching out to see other impacts up the road, and we have my engineers actually doing a TIA as we speak.
Can we provide them as a city? I mean, it's.
Well, they have that already. QT did a TIA, and that's, I believe, a matter of public record at this point.
I already have access to it.
And they're doing a TIA, which will be, so that all comes later on, as part of the plat.
And I know that. I'm just, but we just got one from Bandera Ranch that we approved consent agenda back in May. That was done last year, which included in there. It said, I thought it said it included QT, even though QT hadn't been fully developed.
So what you had was a TIA done by QT for QT's development, and that's why you see that little mini turn lane that had to be built in. Then when Bandera Ranch did theirs, it takes into account existing traffic and that which would be expected, such as what was coming with QT, along with theirs, to incorporate what would have to be done on that intersection. When they do their TIA, it will build upon the information from both of those to have a total impact on the intersection. So those are guidelines with TxDOT and with that have to be cumulative total, and those questions answered before it can pass, not this phase, but the next phase. So we're a little bit jumping the gun, but it's important to recognize, but they are addressing that issue, and that's submitted in the next phase.
Okay. And I tried to tie that to my initial question, because on the drawing, it looks like that stub wouldn't be opened up, and I'm like, that would really help.
Well, we're here to help, and that's what ultimately we got to see what the best is for the city of Helotes and as Las Palapas. I really kind of liked what you said about a big win for everybody. And Las Palapas is not a fast food store. This is not a high volume, fast turnaround store. They do fresh food. There's not even a freezer on site. I build all their sites, and so it's quicker food, but it's not fast food.
So, and I just want to share with you and with everybody here, I went down to kind of the store that you guys are saying, this is what we believe we're going to emulate that design.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was down there last Saturday, 9:30, right? Which is breakfast time. And so your drawing is almost exact the number of cars. I was there for about 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so the drive-through got up to about 12 to 13 cars during that time period, which is kind of what you depicted. So that seemed very realistic. And I know it was brought up in P&Z, the parking thing is problematic. At least down there, you had parking on both sides, because what you had to work with was wider, right? The property, but you still have quite a bit of parking behind.
Yes, sir.
I counted a total of 42 cars parked in the back and on both sides and in the front, and went inside. And what's your seating capacity in those size stores? It's bigger than it looked like.
The seating capacity, I'm assuming that they referenced y'all to go over to Petrenko, the one we just finished. Okay, yes. That one has a larger patio on it, which now they're really wishing they had about 4 more acres to park more cars on, because it's become very popular over there. Actually, it's their #1 store right now. Be that as it may, they hold I think it's 112 as the seating capacity in the dining room. Now, that's got a larger patio on it. This conception, it's the same store. It's the first time we've ever done a repeat of an exact store. The only difference is we're putting a play area. And when I say play area, it's kind of a glorified fenced-in area with turf grass and stuff like that for the kiddos to play in a giant Los Palapas rocking chair for pictures. But it's not like a jungle gym.
I think my only other question, council member Merchant brought up the signs. So again, we can't take into account right now, I don't think, right? Even though it's conceptual about the drive-through piece, even though you're giving us a heads up that that's where you want to put it. It just seemed, without that stub being open through the QT parking lot, it seems like that's an excessive amount of drive-through signs. You got 3 of them. If you pull up the thing, and I just had a question, why 3? If you actually have traffic coming in through that QT stub, not from Scenic Loop, it would make sense because it's a one-way all the way around. So if somebody came in on the side, they'd have to know drive-through, and then actually get into drive-through.
Yes.
So 3 sides made sense.
There are 2 entrances to get into this site as it sits right now, and both of them are through the QT. That's a shared access. It's the way the QT did it. One off Bandera Road and one off of, and it's not drawn on there, and they should have. You see the shared access point, you can see on both of those points, come straight down. That is an access point.
We're talking though, you're talking about the Scenic Loop one, which everyone has already talked about. I earlier was talking about this one on the right.
Oh, I thought you meant the one on Old Scenic.
And you said that's not going to happen.
I thought you went on Old Scenic all the way at the end.
Well, no, that's the 3rd potential entranceway you said you're not dealing with.
No, I'm just talking about the 2 adjacent to QT, sir. I'm sorry if I misspoke.
So, okay.
One here.
I'm struggling here. I'm like stand up and point.
I wish we would. Let's stand up together.
There's,
And then there's another one here.
So what we're
which will be in
talking
the back
about
corner of
right here.
Yes, sir. That one's there.
That one will be there. That
Yes,
was my
sir.
original question. So there
I
will be.
misunderstood. That's on me, sir.
So then it makes sense that you got 3 drive-throughs.
Yes,
because those people have to go all the way around to get
To it.
sir.
Those 3, those 2 entrances.
And my bad. I probably wasn't expressing myself properly. So we're good. That actually clarifies a lot for me, and that eases my concern about traffic.
Yes, sir.
See if I had anything else. Well, I will, and I know this is another part of the process, but and I'm sure you guys somebody referenced a second plan. There was a second kind of concept on the parking area, and I've not seen it.
I brought it with me, but we're still working with the city, and all it is it's kind of a reduced deal back there with a bunch more islands in it. We're saving as many trees as we possibly can. That's what that's in reference to.
Okay.
And that's what that's about. So, I mean, we want to be good neighbors too with everybody.
Okay. And my last point, going back to parking, there was people having to come from down Petranco, had to come from the back, and nobody was fearing for their life as far as I could tell. So,
Stunt people.
but you know, we're on a more narrower lot. So when you guys start to finalize this, you may actually want to put a pedestrian crosswalk, at least stripe it on the back parking lot as people have to go across
Absolutely.
the.
So
No,
before we
100%.
get into too many specifics, we really need to focus. This is conceptual. All the stuff that you've talked about so far on, before we get in there, you know, chandeliers or tablecloths or anything like that. This is everything you're talking about really is in the plan development. This is really conceptual concept, and we need to focus on that as opposed to any of the other stuff, which is really germane to the next phase.
I will say this, though, getting clarification that there's 2 entranceways
Certainly.
is pretty important. So
For sure.
I'll end my questions.
I also attended the planning and zoning meeting when the architect presented this concept. And I do have concerns about the size of the parking lot. The architect indicated that this concept usually is around 80 spaces, and this lot is more than 200. That's just a lot of concrete. And I understand there's just a second plan that reduces the number by about 50%. and then what Councilmember Sanders just kind of touched on, the safety issue.
Yes, ma'am.
The design of having people walk, through the drive-through is a concern for me. And I also looked at into what Commissioner Whiteman's comments about the impact of the drive-throughs on our traffic. A drive-through is a very intensive traffic use, and it seems to be more than the residential development the council approved that's across the street. But that has the advantage of having two of its three driveways exiting onto Bandera Road, not Scenic Loop. And then I'm just concerned about the presence of a drive-through at a restaurant that's across the street from the entrance into Old Town Helotes. We kind of think of us as being sort of the gateway to the hill country, and I'm not sure that a drive-through really enhances that.
Any other comments?
I'm a little confused why we're approving signs for a drive-through when that's not part of the concept, but.
This is the conceptual design plan that would show rough egress placement and conceptual design. If you remember back to, what's a good example?
Mary's Tacos. Mary's Tacos.
Mary's Tacos, when they first came with we're going to put a building here, we're going to develop this. This is kind of what we're looking, or what we did with Two Brothers Burgers, this concept of what we're going on. We're going to have this, we're going to have that, the interest can be in here. And it was just a general idea. Then they had to come back with the actual architectural design, and when they did the signs, if there was signs that were out of variance or out of ordinance that they needed to apply for a variance, those things were addressed at that point. This gives you a concept to understand that there's going to be a building, that there's going to be business, that there's going to be parking, that there is going to be some signs, so that when they come with their final drawings, we won't be shocked if there's a business or a driveway or signs, right? Now, the specificity of those signs have yet to be designed, and the assumption at this point is we are not approving any variances. There's no variances that we're approving at this point. So much like liken it, if somebody bought a residential property and they're saying, hey, listen, I'm going to build a house on here, that's great. And then they submit their designs that it has to have the building permit issued for. And then all of a sudden that design has, an 8-story house that violates our code. Well, that's where we take up that issue with, right? The assumption here is that everything is going to fall within code and within ordinance. If it's outside of that, that will be dealt with at the phase when they actually turn in design work. So it's yes, we're not approving, they're acknowledging that there's going to be signs you can be aware of. We're not approving those signs at this point because they haven't been
Submitted.
designed or submitted yet.
Right, but how many of these have you built?
14 of them, I believe.
Yeah, so we know what the concept is.
Well, they're all different.
They're all different.
Yes.
They're all different.
Except this.
Slightly, but I mean, generally speaking, you know what the concept is.
A lot of them you renovated old taquerias and
Yes, sir.
stuff,
Well, we've
which
done a bunch.
actually I think is cool. But everyone I went to looked.
They're all a little bit different, yes, sir.
Yeah.
But they're all very nice.
Okay. With no other questions or comments, all in favor of approving item number 10 as written, say aye.
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 4. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, 4-1. Motion carries. At this point, we'll be moving into closed session. Deep breath. In accordance with Government Code 551.071, consultation with the city attorney, Section 551.074, personnel matters, Section 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiation. In addition, any other matters scheduled for open session can be discussed in closed session as appropriate and authorized by law. No votes or decisions will be made. We will be moving into closed session here at 7:49 PM. We will return.
I'm just really.
All right, are we live?
Yes.
Okay, it is 8:42. We've returned from executive session. Write that down here. No votes were taken, no decisions were made. 8:42. Okay. We are now back in session. At this point, I'm looking for a motion and a second to discuss and take action on item number 12 is written.
Mr. Mayor, I move we discuss and take action on agenda item number 12 is written.
Motion by Sanders, second by
I'll second.
Merchant. Just as a point of order, we're going to, this is an item where we're discussing the actual annexation of what is being referred to as Brycewood Subdivision Unit 6A with all the appropriate legal description annotated in item number 12. There's one item that I would like to clarify. It's going to be in ordinance number 24-11 on page 3 of 17. For consideration, this is just simply a clarification of the water credits and a definition. Would be my suggestion that we consider approval with this amendment.
Wouldn't that be for item 13 for the actual 380 agreement as opposed to the annexation?
Beg your pardon. You are correct. In 13, 24-11 is with 13, my bad. So let me turn it over to Councilmember Sanders for any comment on the annexation.
The only thing I want to say is I agree with the lady from Beverly Hills that, you know, it's better for the city to control that than to create a donut hole and to have Bear County. So I support it.
Okay, Councilmember Merchant.
No comments.
Okay.
No.
I support it.
Sir, I agree. Yeah. All right. This annexation is, we say, Frank, dependent upon the 380 agreement, is it not? We say that as a.
That is correct. It's contingent on approval of the 380 agreement.
So we have a 3 agreement, which will be the following items. So we can approve this, but its final acceptance is contingent upon successful approval of the other items. With no further discussion needed on the actual annexation, all in favor of approving item number 12 is written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Which brings us to item number 13. Looking for a motion and a second to discuss and take action on item number 13 is written.
So moved.
Motion by Merchant, second by
Second.
Sones. It is this item that is ordinance number 24-11, referring to page 3 of 17 for clarification on the definition of water credits, meaning the water credits the city received from SAWS for the State Highway 16 water and sewer infrastructure project, which included the installation and extension of water lines and the sewer lines on State Highway 16 between Circle A Trail and Scenic Loop Road, specifically identified in SAWS construction permits numbers 113273 and 113274. The crux of this 380 agreement is such that annexation being contingent upon it will be involving several key components. One, we will annex them on our part. On their part, they will agree to purchase $933,600 worth of our water credits at a discounted rate of $653,520. This amount will be payable in 3 installments, one on October 31st of 24, one on April 30th of 25, and one on October 31 of 2025, an amount of $217,840 each. Stipulation then will be that if they are late or do not make their payments, that we would be able to have action to collect those payments from monies due them under the 380 agreements from 2015 and 2018, which will be represented in items number 14 and 15. Additionally, this will cover a stand by, $321,270 tree mitigation fee from Brycewood Unit 5 is currently owed. This will allow that money to be withheld from monies that we owe them out of the aforementioned 2015 and 2018 380 agreements. And again, if they don't pay, we can get it plus 4% interest added onto that item for interest that we added in the form of late fees until the item is paid for, collected in full. Additionally, we will also include to guarantee the collection of tree mitigation fees from Brycewood Unit 6A under the same conditions. That fee has not been calculated yet, but whatever fee that amounts to will be collected from aforementioned owed monies out of the previous 380 agreements. This agreement allows their annexation and continued development of the property, allows us to be able to utilize our water credits or to collect, allows him to be able to get a discount on those water units, which provides the incentive to do so, as well as a payment mechanism for the mitigation fees and also a guarantee of our receipt of those mitigation fees. Any questions, starting with Councilmember Merchant?
No, sir.
Councilmember Stones?
No.
Sir?
No.
Okay. Well, that was quick and easy. In that case, we'll go for a vote. All in favor of approving item number 13 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Which brings us to 14, which then becomes a little bit of a formality, I suppose, but we're looking for a motion and a second to discuss and take action on item number 14 is written.
So moved.
Merchant, second by.
Second.
And again, what this does, this will be a approved agreement that will allow us to amend the 2015 Development and Annexation Agreement and that 380 agreement to be able to allow us to be able to attach fees due the developer under that 380 agreement to pay for the proceeds from the agreement of 380 agreement we're signing now. And that is, this item is for the 2015 380 agreement. The next item will be for the 2018 agreement. Any questions, sir?
No, sir.
Round? No? Good?
No.
Okay. With no further discussion, all in favor of approving item number 14 is written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And motion and a second to discuss, take action on item number 15.
I suggest that we take action and discuss item 15. It's written on the agenda, sir.
All right. Take that as a motion made by Merchant, second by? So second by Cato. All right. As this is the exact same thing, except for attached to the 2018 development. Any questions or issues?
I will say that I think this is as complicated as a citizen will read this. It's very complicated, but it is in the best interest of both the developer and the city. And that's why we have 380 agreements. These are good agreements for all of us. So that's why I made all these motions so that I could finally say that.
All right. Excellent. Sir?
Well said.
Okay. Done. Good. All right. With no further discussion, all in favor of approving item number 15 is written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Excellent. At this point, that concludes all our business for this regularly scheduled meeting. The time is 8:51 and we are adjourned.
So I can just say that.